do you remember your first Pokemon team? I do. There was Blastoise, a Pokemon that could fly. There you go. There you have it. So today, we're going to look down every single most common Pokemon team from every single different game. The most used, the most common. We're going to play a game with this. We're going to see if we can correctly assess and guess what Pokemon are the most common used in every single game. This is made by the Aura Guardian. I'm very excited to get into this because we're going to play a little game with it. We're going to have a little fun with it today. And I assume that we're all going to get it 100% correct because it seems like an easy one.
Possible by Squarespace.
Squarespace sponsored this. Wow, that's so nice of them.
Have you ever wondered what the most used Pokemon are in terms of playthroughs? Not the ones used in competitive, but...
Is that it? Is that the list? Is that the video?
Pokemon you're most likely to see in someone's in-game team.
Okay, I don't think this is the...
Well,
no, there's no way.
I may have figured out what the most used Pokemon teams are for each Pokemon main series game. Now,
Pidgeot.
Obviously, there's no real way to find out what is factually the most used team for each game. However, we can definitely get
Wait, hold people getting shiny Bibberolls? What the hell?
a somewhat good idea. So to figure out what team is the most used for each Pokemon game, let's start with the obvious. Figuring out which starter was picked the most in each Pokemon game.
Here, I'm going to guess right now. I'm going to go the most common, not my favorites, the most common, Charmander, Totodile, Trico, Chimchar, Snivy, Froakie, obviously, Incineroar, Scorbunny, and Fuecoco. That's my guesses.
To try and get some more accurate answers, I run
people love
polls
fire
on both
types.
my Twitter account and YouTube community tab, asking people which starter they picked for each game. And crazily enough, the percentages on YouTube and Twitter were almost identical.
So they are the same. That means that this is the scientific method. For those of you that haven't done studies before or research, then this is how you do it.
Meaning that these results most likely are pretty accurate. So now that we have a pretty good idea at which starters were the most used for each game, what about the rest of the team? Well, to try and get as accurate results as possible, I created a form where people could list which Pokemon they picked for their in-game teams for each game.
It's actually interesting that our Ruby, Sapphire, Emerald, and Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire is in the same area, although they do have different... Some of them do have different Pokemon available.
Some results were very obvious, and some not so much.
Also, Crystal. Couldn't you find you could find a Growlithe early in Crystal. I swear you could. I swear. Like, the first gym you could find a Growlithe. I remember that because I remember looking for it for ages. Yeah. It's like, oh, I knew it. It's right here. Yeah, you could find a Growlithe here. I got so excited when I got Growlithe here. It made me so happy. Then I realized that, oh, where am I going to get Firestone from? How am I going to evolve this thing? Where do you get Firestones in this game? I have no idea.
So, let's get started with the Kanto games.
All right, here we go. Charmander, Pidgeot. Charmander, Pidgeot. Snorlax, maybe. Gyarados, Charmander, Pidgeot, Snorlax, Gyarados. Why am I struggling to think of what's in this region? Sandslash? No one's here. Kadabra or Alakazam, and then maybe like Gengar or Machop.
First Kanto team we're going to go through is for Red, Blue, Green, Fire Red, and Leaf Green. I think we all knew that Charmander was going to win the starter poll. But what about the rest of the team?
Pidgeot.
Probably the most popular Pokemon I found outside of the starter was Nidoking.
Oh, no, that makes sense. Okay.
It makes sense as well, given how early in the game you can find a Nidoran.
Yeah, I'm an idiot. Why didn't I think of this? And you can evolve it to its max stage, like before the second gym match.
Learns Double Kick for Brock's gym, and Nidoking is just a cool-looking Pokemon.
You also get Mankey there,
the
too.
Next team member, one of the first Pokemon you're able to catch is Pidgey. Not only is it one of the most iconic bird Pokemon, but given that Charizard couldn't learn Fly until Pokemon Yellow,
which is ridiculous, by the way.
Pidgeot the most likely candidate to be the player's flyer in Kanto.
It must have been an oversight. Why can't Charizard learn Fly?
Especially compared to other mons that could learn Fly, makes perfect sense. It was also very popular in the anime.
Gyarados.
Next up,
has to be Gyarados.
Raichu.
Of course, the mascot of the series. Daniel, you idiot. What do you say? How can I not think of that? It's the most obvious thing. Am I one of those dumb idiots?
Only is Pikachu the mascot, but it can be found pretty early on in Viridian Forest. It was one of the rarer spawns, but of course that would make people want to catch it.
True. Oh, you know what else was really rare? Pidgeotto in Viridian Forest. You could find like a level 8 or 9 Pidgeotto in Viridian Forest, and I swear that has to be a common one, because I used to go for that one for ages. Viridian Forest was goated back in Pokemon Yellow.
The late game pick was Snorlax. There were only a couple of them available in the game, and given how popular and strong Snorlax is, also not that surprising to see it on the team. Finally, for the player Surfer, the main water types I found to be popular in Kanto was Blastoise, Gyarados, and Lapras. Blastoise is excluded
Sense.
since we have Charizard as the starter. Gyarados at first make the most sense, since you can buy a Magikarp pretty early in the game. However, I found Lapras to be way more popular of a choice. Even though
Really?
you do get Lapras somewhat late in the game, it is rare, being a gift Pokemon, and I do see people buying a Magikarp and then not wanting to waste time evolving it. So, this is
I definitely think I would have won
my
Gyarados, though.
pick for the most used team for Red, Blue, Green, and the remakes.
I feel like it has
However,
to be Gyarados.
Pokemon Yellow and Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee have enough differences where the teams would be pretty different. With Pikachu being the starter
Obviously.
for Pokemon Yellow, this gives the possibility of the Kanto team having no starter on it, or having all 3 starters on it. Usually being able to use 3 starter Pokemon on one team isn't possible unless you trade.
I feel like all of the starters are going to be on this because the novelty of being able to use all these starters at the same time. Like, come on. You're only allowed 1 in the regular games, and now you get access to all 3. Why wouldn't you want to use
However,
them?
given how popular all 3 of these Pokemon are, it's pretty safe to say that the majority of people, including myself, took advantage of this, making
I did.
Pikachu and the 3 Kanto starters pretty easy picks for the yellow team. The last 2 slots, Snorlax I predict still being a popular choice, given how rare it is in the game, and for the last slot, I found Nidoking way too popular to leave out. Pikachu is basically useless against Brock, so Nidoking makes sense. And this would be the team I most likely see being used for Pokemon Yellow and Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu.
Yeah, this looks pretty run-of-the-mill. Oh, Eevee. Oh, I feel like Eevees won't be that much different. It'll just replace the Pikachu with the Eevee, right?
On the other hand, would obviously be a little bit more different. Instead of Pikachu, we'd have Eevee, and instead of Snorlax, we'd have Raichu.
Oh,
Some
really?
other popular Pokemon I found for Kanto that didn't make the cut for any of the teams were Arcanine was the most popular fire type.
My boy, my boy, look at him back there being all sad that he wasn't included. It's because he's a stone evolution, isn't it? He's a stone evolution. He learns very few moves. They need to give him a little bit more.
If it wasn't for Charizard, although it was also a version exclusive, making it a bit more difficult.
Wait, it's a version exclusive in Pokemon Red where Charizard is on the literal cover of the game, so people are going to choose Charizard because it's the big Lizardon.
Dragonite took a lot of time and effort to obtain.
Yeah, I don't think people are using Dragonite much, especially in game. You basically can't evolve it to its max evolution until the end of the game.
Evolve, so didn't quite make the cut. Jolteon was easily the most popular evolution, and would have been the electric type of the team if it wasn't for Pikachu.
But also, Jolteon doesn't learn very many good moves. Oh, Hitmonlee.
And Hitmonlee is given to you at the dojo, but just wasn't quite as popular as some other choices.
I think that people choose Hitmonlee because of vibes. I think that Hitmonlee just has a cooler design than Hitmonchan, so people just go for Hitmonlee. That's it. All right, we're in Gen 2. Okay, starter, it's going to be Totodile because people like Alligator. Alligator, very cool. And Cyndaquil's base form doesn't look like the most imposing thing in the world, though it is very cute, and I do love it very much. I love all the Generation 2 stars. I think they're wonderful. I don't think anyone's using Ho-Oh, so Pidgeot might be back on the squad again. No one's using Spinarak or Leddyba. In fact, I actually think that most used Johto teams consist mostly of Kanto mons.
Moving on to Gold, Silver, Crystal, and the remakes.
Oh, but there is the novelty of having new mons, so maybe I'm wrong.
The most popular Johto starter was
What? Really?
easily Cyndaquil. Chikorita unfortunately had no chance.
Oh my god, a fire type's just gonna sweep every single one?
And there was another water type I knew was going to be on the team over for Alligator. That water type being the red Gyarados.
Oh, it's a red Gyarados. Yeah, okay, so we have one Kanto mon. I swear to god, if Typhlosion is the only Gen 2 mon on this, is gonna be really funny.
Let's be real. We all wanted to use this on our team.
It's red, come
Shiny
on.
that was not only iconic but looked great. It was given. Next up is Ampharos.
Oh, Ampharos. Okay, that's one of the Gen 2s that I could get down with.
Marine is one of the most popular in Johto, especially from the electric type options. And Ampharos was no surprise one of the most popular picks. For the flyer of the team, the obvious choice was Crobat. It's
Okay, if we're talking about the kids playing this game, I don't know if many kids know how to get Golbat or Crobat. I feel like most kids will go with the easy one, because catching a Zubat and training it up into Golbat and then just knowing to evolve it by happiness, I feel like that's not going to be a very common thing. I did not know that you could do that, genuinely. So I just went with the easy, the path of least resistance when it came to the flyer. I probably went for like Pidgeot or something along those lines, maybe Fearow. I think I used Fearow a lot in Johto, actually.
much cooler than its pre-evolutions and even the regional bird.
Yeah, I feel like people are looking at this with somewhat of a modern bias where they know all of the information that's in the game and not the bias that they have when they went into this as a child. Though, to be fair, the video didn't state this is your childhood teams. It's just the most used team that you would use now. which actually, it makes a lot of
And
sense.
it's just a very popular cool Johtomon overall. The next team member, I had some options, and the one that ended up winning by a lot was Heracross. Now,
Oh man, I wish I knew how to get Heracross when I was a
Pokemon
youngin.
is a headbutt encounter only, which made me question whether to have it on the team, since it can sometimes be quite rare. However, you can find it in a lot of different areas, and I think the anime did make people want a Heracross.
True, he is really cool. Oh, that's a bit. Just look at this picture,
That
man.
and
To be fair, also, you can get it as early as, like, what, the second gym as
since
well?
Heracross was one of the most voted for Pokemon, I kind of had to put it on the team.
I feel like they should have gave Bugsy Heracross instead of Scyther. In fact, I have no idea why Bugsy has a Scyther instead of a Heracross. This doesn't make any sense. Why? It's literally the new mon, and you can get it that early in the game. Also, you want to show off your new mons. Scyther's just hanging around. Doesn't make any
And
sense.
the last Johto member we have is Lugia. Not
Okay.
really surprising to see
Sure.
a box legend on the team. And
Oh, but that means that silver is more popular than gold, which means I'm the number one, baby. Okay, so the way that I bought the games went blue, yellow, silver, ruby, pearl, and then we can go over the next ones later. But I feel like I always had the least popular version. Like, I feel like more people had diamond version, more people had gold, more people had red. Maybe ruby was the more popular one there because red and people like red.
Lugia was easily the more popular of the two. And there's the most used team I picked for Johto. Other Johto
Sure.
Pokemon that was considered was Feraligatr, losing out to Typhlosion, Noctowl, losing out to Crobat.
Okay, I don't feel like Noctowl would ever be on the team. I'm going to be honest. Noctowl is dog water, and then you can get Lugia at the end of the game anyway. You can have a fly slave until that point.
Dragonite was much easier to obtain in Johto than Kanto, but still suffered from taking too long to evolve.
You would not have a Dragonite in Johto. You would almost be finished with Kanto before you got this. Also, where are you getting this from? This thing is in Mount Silver at the end of the game.
Tyranitar had some mentions, however you can only get one at the very late end of the game.
Yeah, who's using this on their team? You can't use it on your team. You can't catch it.
Jolteon was also popular, but did lose out to Ampharos, and the Johto evolutions. I
I didn't even know there was Johto evolutions when I was a kid.
almost picked Umbreon over Heracross. However, Heracross was answered way more than Umbreon, despite how popular Umbreon is. That and Umbreon's evolution method I see not being the easiest for some people.
I'm too dumb to do this. Oh, okay. Hoenn team. I guess it might just be a fire type sweep. Maybe Trico isn't going to be as popular, but Trico also has an anime buff, right? Well, I mean, May has Torchic in the anime, but Ash's Pokemon usually get a buff, don't they? So obviously it's gonna be Swellow. I would imagine maybe Flygon for a little bit of dragon fun. Maybe they go for the late game Salamence, but no, it's kind of like it's maybe too late game. I feel like it's gonna be Blaziken again, right? It has to be.
Moving on to Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald, all three starters could have easily have been picked. In the
Oh,
end,
Mudkip. I forgot about Mudkip. Oh, the internet memes. Oh, you know what? Internet memes might clutch it.
it was between Sceptile and Swampert ended up winning, given
Wow. Okay. Yeah, just. Wow, Torchic is low. Am I an
how
idiot?
popular
Am I out of touch?
Mudkip was, as well as Swampert being by far the most popular surfer in the game. Manectric was also picked, Electric being a cool electric type that players could get somewhat early on.
I always tried to get Electric. I always tried to make Electric good, but Electric is not good. Electric is bad. In fact, Manectric is not even good. It evolves kind of late. It learns like Spark. It's not very strong. I mean, Swallow is
in a
goated
lot
though.
of sense. Next we have Gardevoir.
Ooh, God of War. That's an easy one to miss. I can't believe I forgot about that. I always use God of War. And I always thought, look at this. I always thought that this side of the face was like the mouth, like the mouth was here and the nose was here. And she was kind of like looking upwards like that. I always thought that was the case. I was not a smart child.
Very clearly one of the most popular Hoenn Pokemon easily. It's also a rare spawn early in the game where Wally finds his rots, so wouldn't be surprised if some people wanted to also find their rots in that location. Next up is Breloom.
I never used a
This would
Breloom.
be the grass member of the team, and was surprisingly popular among votes. The last two team members were almost unanimously picked, being Aggron and Flygon. Aggron I see almost being
Aggron.
the Nidoking of Hoenn.
The Aggron does suck though, which is really sad because Aggron's very cool, but Steel Rock is not good typing. Flygon is great though. You know what I always used to do as well when I was a kid? I know this isn't necessarily like a childhood video, but something I always used to do back in the day is I had to have my starter be at least 2 or 3 levels above the rest of my team because it's the starter. It just felt like the right thing to do. And if my starter wasn't the highest level on the team, I felt uncomfortable. I felt genuinely uncomfortable with the Pokemon I was using. I was like, This does not feel right. I need to fix this.
Cool looking beefy 3-stage evolution. That's overall pretty popular. And Flygon was the most popular choice for a flyer. So this is the most used team.
No
picked for Ruby,
Swallow.
Sapphire, and Emerald. The remakes, on the other hand, changes things just a bit. When the game was released, a certain event Pokemon was given to players, being a shiny Beldum. Metagross is one of the most popular
That's insane.
Hoenn shinies, as well as getting a brand new Mega. So Metagross I had to put on the ORAS team, replacing Aggron
That is
as the Steel
ludicrous.
type. So despite
I can't believe they even
there
did
not
that.
being many changes, that would be the team for the Hoenn remakes. Other popular choices were Linoon, being a great HM slave, Camerupt being the most popular fire type other than Blaziken,
Really?
but
Are
not
you
as
serious?
popular as other choices. Altaria losing out to Flygon.
Yeah, Altarius is not that good. Razquaz is going to be on every team. As soon as you get that level 70 Razquaz toward the end of the game, you master ball that, boom, you're beating the game. That's it. You don't need anything more.
Rayquaza. No surprise there.
Yep.
And finally, Swallow. I had Swallow on the team for the longest time. However, found that it fell off as we went through each Hoenn team member.
Swallow did
leading me to
not
believe
fell
that
off.
Most people caught a Tailo early on, may have had Swallow as their flyer early game, and then replaced Swallow later with a better
Rayquaza?
flyer, in this case being Flygon. So while
Or Flygon, yeah, I guess
I
so.
definitely see Swallow being part of the team, it ultimately had to be cut by
That's
just
so
a little
sad. Makes sense. All right, most used Sinnoh team. But, okay, the easiest one of all time. Bam, you got your starter. It's probably going to be Infernape, but they're all pretty sick. Bam, you got your Luxray. Bam, you got your Gastrodon. You got your Lucario. Maybe your Garchomp. Bam, you got your cover legendary. Bam, there you go. That's it.
For Black and White, it's a pretty interesting case. The most popular Unova starter overall was Oshawott, so we start with Samurott. I did consider the regional bird being Unpheasant, however found it was definitely
People don't like Unpheasant,
not
though.
the most popular flyer of the team. Instead,
people don't like it.
Archeops was picked. I found
Oh, Archeops is not good either, though.
it to be by far the more popular fossil, and the most common pick when it came to a flyer. Fossils are pretty easy to get in the game, so it made sense that people picked Archeops. Additionally, Substriker was also pretty popular, being an early electric type you could find in Unova, a bit more so than the other electric type options. Next up is Crocodile. Easily one of, if not the most popular Pokemon according to my survey.
It's about time we had had some good mons coming in here.
And in general, I'm pretty sure it was the most voted for Unova.
Now, where's Electros? Oh, it's not going to be Electros because there's a Zeb Striker on the team. Man, imagine using Zeb Striker instead of Electros. Pfft, ludicrous.
Fire types that really stood out were Darmanitan and Chandelure.
Was anyone using these when the game first came out, though?
But in the end, Chandelure just edged out. It's a pretty unique design that's still loved by players.
God, I remember when Black and White first came off, I totally fallen off of Pokemon when Black and White first came out. So I tried to play it on an emulator on my grand's laptop, and it ran on like 5 frames a second. And I was like, oh, this sucks. This new Pokemon game is not very good.
And for the last team member, Haxorus was definitely a popular choice.
I love
really
Haxorus.
Surprising it ended up being on the team.
I love it so
this
much.
is the team for Black and White 1.
This is definitely not what I use. Like, where's the... What is going on with this? Yeah, this is not what I use.
2 definitely changes things up. Samurai
I feel like I was using Unpheasant just because I liked it. I was dumb. I don't like it
is
now.
still the starter of choice. However, unlike the Black and White games, Black and White 2 had quite the number of past generation Pokemon available near the beginning of the game,
Growlithe.
which definitely influenced a lot of people's teams.
Growlithe.
First, the most obvious one being Riolu. Players,
Riolu, right,
including
yeah.
myself, really wanted Lucario on their team.
I really like the way that they did the Pokemon distribution in Black and White. In fact, I think that Black and White 2 might be one of the best distribution of Pokemon in any of the games. Man, I really like Black and White 2. I'm so sad it sold badly. I guess that's how it happens to sequels.
And since almost every Black and White 2 team I saw had Lucario, this was a pretty easy pick. Another popular past generation Pokemon available in the same area as Riolu was Moreap, leading to Ampharos being the electric type of the team. For the fire type,
okay, fire type, I'm thinking maybe Magby, but I'm also thinking Growlithe. Are we really going to go Darmanitan as Chandelure again? I feel like we're not.
I was surprised to see that Arcanine was picked the most.
Yes!
It was again another past generation Pokemon, available somewhat early in the game, and
God, that makes me so happy. In Black and White 2, I got my first ever shiny that I hunted. I probably got a shiny before that, but you know, I put my hands up and I can't remember if I have or not. I Masuda methoded and hatched eggs for a Growlithe for hours and hours. I didn't count how many it took. I just did it for fun after school, and eventually I got it. I still have that Growlithe to this day in Pokemon Home. It's probably my most prized Pokemon.
it was apparently used by a lot of people. A Pokemon returning from the Black and White 1 team is Crocodile, still one of the
Makes
more
sense.
popular Unova Pokemon, and also still one of the most voted. No
This is a great team so far.
surprise there. And the last team member
Flygon.
is of course Zoroark. This
Oh.
Pokemon wasn't really
Wait, why are we running so many fighting type weaknesses, guys? Come on.
available to players to have on their team in the first Black and White,
Think of your team composition,
but it
guys.
is in the sequel. And given how iconic Zoroark is, no surprise it was a popular choice.
This team going up against Marshall is going to have a tough go of
And
it.
that's the team for Black and White 2. Other Unova options were Stoutland, being somewhat popular at the beginning of the game, but
I never
falling
used
off later.
Stoutland.
Excadrill, losing
Yes.
out quite badly to Crocodile, Darmanitan and Volcarona being other fire-type options,
Volcarona is too hard to get, I feel.
Unpleasant being an early game Pokemon, and Flying Choice, Electros and Galvantula being
There it
popular
is.
electric-type choices. Flygon was another very popular past generation starter.
I knew Flygon would be in here, that's why I said it.
That also most likely would have been the flyer of the team. And Seismitoad.
Really?
Shockingly.
Why?
Now, before-
What? Actually, I think I did use a Seismitoad a few times. I played through every Pokemon game at least, I would say 5 to 8 times. The early ones, I probably played through the early ones maybe like 30 to 40 times. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I know it's a lot. It's a little too many, some would say.
Before we continue, I want to talk about today's sponsor, Squarespace.
Let's
if you're
go!
looking to start your own brand or
I
business
am.
online, Squarespace is the best place to do it, and stand out by creating your very own website.
I can put so many things on the website. I can put my cat pictures on the website.
Squarespace's all-in-one platform gives you almost endless ways to customize your own brand to look
No.
as sleek and as professional as possible. The
How
site
good
gives
that
you
is.
a bunch of templates to start out with
Yeah?
according to whatever site you're making, whether it be gaming, music, or pretty much anything you want.
I'm
You're
gaming.
able to adjust the site to how you want it to look. Add
Subscribe and stuff. She is currently available for hire.
text, images, buttons that do stuff, and even better,
Oh my god, I make Pokemon videos, MA in nutrition, and a personal chef.
you're able to see what your site will look like on a computer or mobile. There's no place that
way.
makes creating a brand new professional
Oh my god, you can be a YouTuber and a nutritionist and a sous chef. Oh wow, that's a really interesting career path.
website easier. So, go to squarespace.com to start a free trial.
Okay.
And if you use the promo code AURA signing up, you'll save 10% on your first purchase of a website or domain. Thanks so
Okay.
much to Squarespace for sponsoring this video.
Okay, gang, I'm gonna be honest. This video was released over a year ago. I don't know if this link will still work, but we can find out. It does. It actually does. Well, hey, just give that consideration, will you? Kalos!
Correct.
Oh my god, my first Kalos team? Okay, wait, I know. We can see what my first Kalos team was. I recorded it. I did a Pokemon Y Nuzlocke, my first ever playthrough. Let's just go to the end and see what my team looked like by the end of it.
What is
Oh,
going on,
okay.
everyone?
Okay, shut up me. All right. I used a Chestnut, a Blaziken. I used a Sylveon, an Aurorus, a Lapras, and Bugs Bunny here. Wow. What a team. And you can actually go a little bit further back. We can see like what my team was halfway through the game, which is okay. We had we still had it. We had the Combusken, we had the Aurora. We had so many starters. I carried Bugs throughout the entire game for some reason. I don't really know why. And then we got the Sylveon, and then we got the Aurorus. Damn, I must have been goated because no one on this team ever died. Am I? Oh no, hold on. Am I the GOAT? Well, I think that this team will have Sylveon on it. Some kind of starter that's probably Greninja. It will have maybe some of the other starters, but most likely Diggersby. It's gotta be Tyrantrum. It has to be Tyrantrum. Maybe the box legendary.
Why? Greninja and Charizard were overwhelmingly the most popular first and second picks.
Yep.
It wasn't really close. So not surprising that
I totally forgot that you get one of the Kanto starters in X and Y. They just give you it, which is
the
weird.
first two on the team.
Oh, because they have Mega Evolutions. That's right.
Next we have Lucario yet again. It's gifted to us in the game, as well as being our first Pokemon that we Mega Evolve. One of the most voted
Oh,
Pokemon
I forgot that you get the Mega Evolution. That's right.
for sure. Aegislash is also added to the team. Another very popular Pokemon introduced in X and Y with a fun gimmick.
Sylveon has to be one of the most popular, surely.
Next up is Tyrantrum,
Come on,
easily
man.
the most popular of the two fossils.
There's no way you're going to tell me that there's no fairy types in the generation that introduces fairy type and the generation that introduces the newest evolution in like the last 10
And
years.
I think a T-Rex Pokemon was
It's gotta
always
be
gonna
Sylveon.
a popular choice. And for the sixth member of the team, we have the Box Legendary.
What?
Both of them were pretty much the top two choices for the last slot, so not too surprising
wrong with
that
everyone?
the Box Legend ends up being the final pick. And here we have the Kalos team.
Where's
But the
Sylveon?
popular picks were Talonflame. It was actually really close between Talonflame and Charizard, but ultimately ended up going with Charizard. The event Blaziken that was distributed on release, but again,
That's what I had.
Charizard. Florges and Sylveon
There we go.
being pretty popular fairy types, and Goodra, having to evolve it at a high level, and specifically in the rain, I see being pretty annoying for people.
Generation 6 had some good options, though. Oh, the most used Alola team. We can do the same thing again. I can just go back, look at my son Nuzlocke, because I recorded my first ever playthrough of the game, and see what my team was by the end. Let's go to the Elite Four. Okay, I had my old intro. All right, so I was using... Wow, what a weird team this is. I used Decidueye, Mudsdale, Alolan Persian, Alolan Ninetales, Alolan Golem, and Slowbro. Okay, let's go a little bit further back and see what it was earlier on in the game, see if it changed. Okay, yeah, we had the same thing. We had Steenie, and then we had Wishy Washy for a bit. All right, I think it died at some point, though. Damn, my team was... Okay, a lot more Pokemon in this series died than in the... X and Y series. Yeah, I just kept this team throughout the entire game. What a strange team this is.
On to 7th gen, the most popular Alola starter is obviously Rowlet, giving us Decidueye.
Is this the first grass type that's ever been up
The
there?
next most likely Pokemon is definitely Lycanroc. It's a popular Alola Pokemon that was advertised quite a bit, and in Ultra Sun and Moon was an early event for us to get the Dusk form, so Lycanroc is a given. Next up we have both the regional bird and the regional bug of the game.
Vikavolt for sure. I don't know about Trumbeak though. Trantrum? What's his name?
Vikavolt and Toucanon were overall mentioned a lot,
Toucanon.
so I had to add them. Salazzle was easily the most popular fire type, and despite the gender ratio being possibly quite difficult for players to evolve their Salandit, it was still one of the most dimensioned Pokemon, so also made the list. And the last Pokemon was a bit of a toss-up, but the most popular final pick ended up being Kommo-o, not only the pseudo-legend of the game, but was also advertised.
That's all the Alolan forms. Come on, Alolan Ninetales is not even on the list?
Our first dragon fighting type.
Damn, I must be just a maverick, you know? Yeah, I'm a maverick. Yeah, I just go my own way. I make my own teams. I don't do what everyone else does. I was also doing a Nuzlocke, so I didn't really get to choose my encounters, so maybe that had something to do with it.
It made sense that people would have waited to eventually have one on their team. And that is our completed Alola team. Some Pokemon that just missed out on the list was Mimikyu. If there was a
that would have been good,
spot, it would have definitely gone to Mimikyu.
Alolan Ninetales.
Raichu being the most popular Alolan form for sure. Golisopod, that would have probably have made the list if Vikavolt wasn't so popular. Mudsdale was also a popular choice.
Yes! Okay, I had Mudsdale.
Just missed out. And both the box legends. They were picked a lot for the final slot, but of course, lost to Kommo-o.
That makes sense. Most used Galar team. All right, here we go. I'm so glad that I have all of this documented. Man, we're getting so close to the future now. Look at this. This is only 4 years ago. All right, Champion Leon battle. Here we go. Oh, this is a weird team. Okay, I have a Vileplume, an Arctozolt, a Barraskewda, a Bisharp, a Beware, and a Dusclops. I do remember, though. I remember that I had picked the... Oh, no, my starter died really early. That's right. Oh, this is so sad. I had Raboot and it died so early. Oh, I remember. I was so sad when it died. But then, you know, you got to do what you got to do. God, this is a really weird team at the start of the game. This Sword and Shield team, I don't know what is going on with it. I really fumbled with this. This is like, look at these teams. This is definitely not right. Although I will say I did love Berserker, and I still love Berserker to this day. If Berserker's not on this, I will understand, but I'll be really sad because Berserker's a really cool mon.
For Sword and Shield, Scorbunny was the clear starter favorite, giving...
I mean, Raboot is the greatest Pokemon of all time. I mean, well, Cinderace is, like, not that great, to be honest.
Cinderace for the team. The most voted Galar Pokemon by quite a margin was Corviknight. It's
sure, that makes sense.
You can get it pretty early on, and
it's sick.
I mean, look at it. No wonder it's one of the most popular bird Pokemon ever at this point. Toxtricity was also an obvious pick. It's one of the most popular Gen 8 Pokemon for sure, with two forms for people to choose from.
If Sinistea is on this, I'm going to be really happy.
Next up is Grimmsnarl. Impidimp was a very popular Pokemon in the advertisements of the game, so it would make sense that Grimmsnarl would be more popular.
I remember there was a ton of memes about Impidimp because they never officially announced Impidimp. They just had Impidimp around. They never like said, "Oh, this is Impidimp. He's a fairy type." So everyone just said that, "Oh, he never Impidimp doesn't exist because he was never announced."
Even more so than its psychic counterpart. Dragapult is one of the most popular pseudo legends. Usually pseudos don't end up on the team, given how late they're available in the game, and usually takes a lot of levels to evolve. But given Dragapult's amazing typing, design, and the amount of people who picked it, Makes sense that it was on most people's team.
Wait, I'm going to be honest. I don't even know where to get Droopy. I don't think I've ever caught Droopy in Sword and Shield.
And the last Pokemon on the team is Dreadnought.
What?
A bit less popular than the other picks, but was still picked quite a lot.
Where's Berserker?
Most likely made popular from the advertisements, since it was one of the first Gen 8 Pokemon we saw. And here is the team for Galar. The runners-up were Boltund, losing out to Toxtricity.
Okay, that makes sense.
Losing out to Grimmsnarl. Centiskorch and Coalossal, losing out to Cinderace. And Obstagoon. I'm sure
these were all
people
cool.
were excited to see Linoon's new evolution in action. It was between Obstagoon and Dreadnought.
Do people really not like Berserker? That's so sad.
I think sharing the Dark typing with Grimmsnarl meant that most of the time it wouldn't be on the same team. So barely just got cut.
Fine. Hisui? Oh, okay. Wow. The most used Hisui team. This is interesting because I did do a Legends Arceus Nuzlocke. Although I didn't have a layout for this, I do remember I did do a Legends Arceus Nuzlocke. I don't remember. The thing is with Legends Arceus is you don't really have that much of a team per se. I do remember I had Meringue, but I was just using like a bunch of random mons throughout the most part. I had Hisui and Gudra. That's kind of cool. There's Hisui and Zoroark. I had Hisui and Samurott. Like, a lot of the Hisui stuff is pretty much a given, right? But I also had Skuntank. And for some reason, I just used Skuntank a bunch. And for some reason, I believe I also had a Clefable. Oh, here's the team. Okay. Oh, yeah, that's right. I had a Steelix that I love to use. I had a Staraptor that was really good. I tried to evolve Swift the Growlithe for the longest time, and I just couldn't for some reason. I don't know why I didn't evolve it sooner. I had Hamlet. That's right, Overquill. Okay, so this is my team. This is not going to be a very common team, I feel like. I don't know if people are using Overquill, and the rest of it is just like, there's no way, right? Samurott will probably be the most common starter, though, right?
This was probably the hardest Pokemon game to calculate in terms of the most common team, given the variety of generations we had to pick from. But I still got a really good idea. Cyndaquil was the most popular starter according to my starter polls.
Man, people love Cyndaquil. I mean, I get it. I do get it.
Making Hisui and Typhlosion our first pick. Hisui and Zoroark was one of the first Pokemon I thought was going to make the list. Zoroark is pretty difficult to find, and shares the ghost typing with Typhlosion. But given how popular it is, it made the most sense to also have on the list. Another Pokemon that was very popular was Luxray.
People love Luxray. You know what's really interesting about Luxray? I know someone that absolutely loves Luxray. It's their favorite Pokemon of all time. It is really hard to find a ton of Luxray merchandise. Like, there are some plushes, there's a few cards, but there's not really that much merchandise when it comes to Luxray, just like floating around, which is funny because it's really, really, really popular.
Not surprising, especially how early you can get Shinx in the game.
I do wish Luxray was good, though. Luxray is not a good Pokemon to use.
And was overall one of, if not the most voted Pokemon. Along with Zoroark, the other most popular Hisuian form was Gudra.
I love Hisui and Gudra so much. Oh, it's just, look at the guy. He's a snail. Is he a snail? He's a snail.
Pretty easy to find in the game. As well as there being an alpha Hisuian Sliggoo that we can come across. Next is Ursaluna.
Okay, this one tracks. This one makes complete sense. I mean, it's one of the ride Pokemon too. It's one of the new Pokemon. It looks sick.
I think people were really happy to see that Ursaring got an evolution, so it made sense that it also made the team. And the 6th pick is Cleavar. Scyther,
okay, yeah, I mean, these are all just like sick looking Pokemon. You really can't go wrong with this team.
Really early in the game. And Cleavar was advertised as Scyther's new evolution, so definitely understand that people wanted to use one.
And just look at it, it's so cool.
I believe was the most used for Pokemon Legends Arceus.
I think this tracks, because you don't need Flymons anymore.
Popular Pokemon was Staraptor, being available super early in the game.
That's what I had.
Wordeer was also mentioned for fixing Stantler, Hisui and Arcanine.
Yes, my boy!
Typhlosion, Sneasler, being a cool alternative to Weavile, and Garchomp, for obvious reasons.
Yeah, I mean, Garchomp was Garchomp. Actually, did Garchomp appear on the... Yeah, Garchomp did appear on the Gen 4 team. We just glossed over it. Most used Paldea team. Oh, this is an interesting one. There's so many Pokemon that you can get in this. Oh, I wonder... Oh, no. How am I going to see my team? Oh, that's right. Okay, so I started with Fuecoco. I love Fuecoco. I really liked Brambleghast, too. And then for Rigorath, which I added to the team and unfortunately died at the end, I had an Ampharos. For some reason, I was using a Medicham on my team. I don't know why. And I also had, the Giga Big Boy, Giga Large Lads. So that was my team. I think that's a pretty good team. I actually think that's a pretty common team as well. Come on, Fuecoco got to be the most common starter.
Scarlet and Violet team. This one was pretty hard to decide on because it went one of two ways. The starter was between Skeledirge and Meowscarada.
Okay, I'll take that. That makes sense.
With Skeledirge being more popular overall.
Damn. Fuecoco ran away with it.
However, Ceruledge was also one of the most popular Pokemon. And
Did people really use that? I mean, I
I
guess
don't
so.
think a lot of people had both Skeledirge and Ceruledge on the same team, given that they share both the same types. So in the end, I decided to go with Skeledirge. As popular as Ceruledge is, it is a version exclusive, even if Violet version was more popular than Scarlet version.
So you're already cutting the possible users in half, unless they trade already.
And some people didn't even know how to evolve Charge Cadet without looking it up. So we're going with Skeledirge.
Hey, I also didn't know how to evolve Brambleghast, and it just randomly happened because you have to walk with him for a bit, so that was fun.
Route. The next team member is Clodsire. You can get Paldea and Wooper pretty early in the game.
Really?
And of course, people wanted to see what it looked like, and loved what it became.
Okay, sure. Yeah, I can see that. Oh, this brings me back to when the games first came out. I love seeing everyone's first reactions to the new Mons. I really hate being spoiled on what the new Pokemon look like, and I really love just being able to experience the new Pokemon and seeing what they look like in real time. Oh, man. You know what? I'm really excited for a new generation, solely because I just want to have that first reaction again. Those first reactions are, they're gold dust.
Probably one of the most popular Gen 9 Pokemon. Another extremely popular Pokemon, and probably the most voted, was Tinkaton.
Yeah, that makes sense.
This was a no-brainer.
This thing is a crazy type, and Fairy Steel is
I
amazing.
think everyone would agree. Tinkaton is arguably the most used Pokemon in the game. No question. Next is Kilowattrel.
I did not use Kilowattrel, and I didn't have any desire to use it whatsoever. Why is he's got a big belly? He's rotund.
Original bird is usually popular on most teams. You don't find Wattrel at the very beginning of the game, but it is still a pretty easy find. One Pokemon that was surprisingly popular was Garganical.
Yes! Oh my god, I was so excited. My reaction to seeing the second evolution of Nacali, it was just the best. I don't know if I like him all that much, though. Gargankel, the final evolution, is like kind of mid, but the second one's so cool.
Garganical, however you say it. I didn't expect it to be nearly as popular as it was, but apparently a lot of people had it on their team, so no arguments there. And the sixth member is Baxcalibur. I was pretty skeptical on this.
I'm not a fan of Baxcalibur. I'm sorry, it's just a little bald.
Since Frigibax isn't the easiest Pokemon to find.
And it's so ugly too.
And evolves a bit late. But given that you can technically find it early depending on the route you take, and the amount of people that said that Baxcalibur was their final team member, including myself, it was picked way more than other choices. So
Dragonite is also a nice combination to round out everything too.
This is the team for Scarlet and Violet. However, the team could have also looked like this, given how popular Ceruledge was, with Meowscarada as the starter. So either works, but the Scarlet
I was using fucking Metajam.
Ceruledge team is probably the most popular. A Pokemon that just missed out was Pawmot. It was quite a popular choice, but ultimately lost out to Kilowattrel.
I actually love Pawmot.
And those are what I have picked for the most used teams for each
All right,
Pokemon
that
game.
was great. That was a fun little game to play. I thoroughly enjoyed that. I had a great time. If you had a great time, you should subscribe to the Aura Guardian, whose link is in the description. And also, you should use code PatterrzTheGamerSubs, where you can get caffeine or caffeine-free variations of absolutely delectable drinks. They ship everywhere in the world. You don't have to worry about it. Go on, get your drinks. Get them with a discount code Patterrz. And if you want to see more of my dumb face, subscribe here right now. Do it. Subscribe. Do it right now. Do it. Go on. Go on. Go on.